Alright guys, so today we're gonna be reacting again another video from Thomas Sowell. Is Donald Trump a racist? It's probably like a continuation from last video. I'm gonna jump in very quick. Make sure you like and subscribe. You're heading to 10,000 subscribers. With this, let's jump in.
Professor, I used to love reading your column every week, and one thing that is less economic and it's more social that's been happening recently is the discourse, particularly throwing around terms, very harsh terms like calling people racist as a sort of a go-to place, particularly for liberals against this administration. We heard it last week. Michael Cohen's testimony in front of Congress. He started out by saying what a racist President Trump is. What would you say about that, particularly with regard to President Trump? Do you consider him to be a racist?
I don't know enough about the man to know what he is, but I would like to see any such accusation accompanied by something that we can test against facts.
Well, you certainly have heard the charge anti-Semitism against him, despite the fact that his daughter is a convert to Judaism, his son-in-law is a Jew, their children are being raised in the Jewish tradition. Kind of hard to make the case, and yet you still hear it.
Well, if people have never heard those things because the media filters out things that go against what they believe, then the charge can stick no matter what the facts may happen to be.
Professor, I almost hate to ask this question because you're so honest about things. You see things straight on.
Landing the plane,
the future of America. I mean, do you think that we are destined to go through a period of socialism, a period where these ideas that have not worked, no matter where they've been tried, and certainly wouldn't work here, will be tried here and could bring down our country?
Well, the predictions of economists do not encourage me to go far in that direction. But I do have a great fear that in the long run, we may not make it. And I hate to say that, but and the one thing that keeps me from being despairing is of course we don't know. There's so many things we can't possibly know, and so we may make it, but I wouldn't bet on it.
That was a deep one.
Thomas Sowell, you really are a great economist and a treasure for the United States of America. We appreciate you coming on. We wish you the very best of luck. Your newest, biggest edition of Discrimination and Disparities can be got at the bookstores or on Amazon right now. Thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Wow, man, that was a very hard pill to swallow, especially from him. Whew. It brings fear. You don't want your nation to be destroyed, especially when when you're a kid, you don't realize why the responsibilities of being an adult and what comes from that, right? And one of the things is, your nation. Your nation happens to be a place where you have to protect them. You have family. You want your future generation to have great abundance. Like you did in my case, right? When he say that, it just give me goosebumps, man. It's not because he says it, it's because it comes from a place of wisdom, okay? And it's a real fear, and I can understand. That was again when Donald Trump was in office, and I see the way that he saw him just getting hit from left and right, and he keep his stay. Still to this day, he's getting hit left and right. I think the nation can be saved. There's great courage. There are great patriots that are trying to just move this thing forward. The most important thing is we cannot have fear towards our goals or what constitutes our responsibilities. And maybe your responsibility is not as big as others, right? Maybe your small portion of responsibility to just keep this nation together is equally as important as the big one, because that's your job, that's your chore, that's your contribution. Don't think because you're not in this politician seat, you're not doing anything. Right? Whatever you do every day does contribute to whether this nation is kept together or not. There's a lot of enemies, behind the United States that want the nation just to fall apart. But our real enemy is not outside, it's within. A lot of these crazy people, man. And this does not came from nowhere. I think some generation they should have just done things the way it was already done. That we have a formula that was working. They're, boomers and Generation X, just they probably want to try something else differently, and then they give, millennials and Gen Z. So what do you expect, right? It's basically a matter of understanding what happened before boomers. What were doing differently that was working, right? And probably a lot of strong discipline um, actions were taken to make sure we didn't fall apart. But now, 1970 hippie, kumbaya came by, and then it created this mess. Now we have to take responsibility. Now the devil has knocked the door, and it's right there. What are we gonna do? Okay, so it's time to just take the bull by the horn and just wrestle him and pull him down. All right. Yeah, of course he doesn't think he's racist. It's common sense. It's common sense. He doesn't know that much about the guy, but whatever the people are claiming that he is, being racist, that is, there's not such evidence. And these evidence, when people present this evidence, man, that's so bad. Because hundreds of years ago, 40 years ago, he did this and that and this and that, therefore racist. But then when you start digging into it, it's not even remotely close to be racist. Racist means someone that hates or think is superior to other race. Simple as that. We don't have to really just dig too much into it. People that want to overcomplicate this, right? They're seeking for something to complain about. Real problem is when people don't have food. Real problem is when people don't have a shelter. Real problem are when people are struggling. Those are real problems. What these people are screaming about racism, but there's no racism around here, is just creating problems because they don't want to deal with their own problems. And I want to leave it at that.